Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Today I want to respond to a legal notice that I got asking me to remove content from my website. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you imagine you don't need a spoiler to understand how this is going to go. What I wanted to do before I do that is explain how I do business and why I do business in the way that I do when it comes to my marketing and how I present myself on my company website and what my strategy is. I want to give you an example from a long time ago. If you are trying to fix your own laptop, let's say that you broke the screen. On average, your normal user that's not a technician is not going to open the device, take the screen out, get the part number from it, and then Google the part number to buy it. What they're going to do is they're going to look at the bottom of the device. They're going to read where it says model A1181. They're then going to Google A1181 MacBook screen, and they're usually going to buy what shows up, and then they're going to take it apart once they get the device. Because most people, they don't want to do an extra chore of taking the device apart twice, and especially if the screen is half working, you don't want to mess with it while it's half working. Now, the reason that this is something that could present a problem is that the model number of the part, if you search for that, is actually going to get you a lower price than if you search by the model number of the laptop. So let's say that you were to search for A1181 MacBook screen. You may find websites selling it for $150 to $200. But if you search for the actual part number of the screen, which you have to take the entire device apart to see, if you search for LP133WX1, you may find the part as cheap as $50 to $70. And the reason that many websites did this back in the day is because they realized that they want to be able to charge more money to people who don't necessarily know better, but they also don't want to lose business from technicians buying the part. So if you go to their website and you search for A1181 MacBook screen, it'll be listed for $150. But if you search for LP133WX1, the exact same device that will be shipped to you will cost you $50. My website is very ugly back then, as you can see. I think I made this in eBay's HTML editor for for product postings. It was horrible. But I knew that I was not going to be able to compete based on having the fanciest website. I had $200 in my pocket. I wasn't going to be able to pay a fancy developer. So what I decided to do is I am just going to operate in a very honest and transparent way. There's this idea in life that you need to climb and compete with other people climbing their hierarchies. And that's not what I do. I always figure I'm just going to make my own. And in my industry, I realized that there was a severe lack of honesty and transparency. Those websites were technically not doing something that was illegal. They didn't do something that's wrong per se, but you wouldn't feel good if you were on the other end of that. And I realized when I made my website that there's a very good chance that if somebody sees that they could buy this part for $50, they may be less likely to use me than they would be if they thought the part was $150 and I was just charging $10 in labor. And I didn't care. If that meant that somebody did the work by themselves, great, more power to them. I never wanted people to feel like they were doing business with me because they had to or because they were coerced into it. I wanted them to be as informed as possible. I wanted them to understand our industry. And then once they have a full understanding of our industry, do business with me because they want to, because they feel like I am the best option for them at that time. And I've always carried this forward in how I do business with all the board repair videos I did, with having a detailed wiki that goes over how to do all the repairs that I do, even if you don't want to watch my videos. And I've carried that forward with data recovery. I have a data recovery business right now. And data recovery is an industry that I believe is highly treacherous. Do you agree, BlackBerry? Good girl. There are a number of examples I could give you. I'm just going to give you a few real quick ones over here. There's a company called Drive Savers. Almost every single person in this industry has had that moment where you have a customer go to you and they give you something like a phone that has a bad screen and you get told that Drive Savers wanted $2,800 to do data recovery. Or it has a bad charge port and I took it to Drive Savers. They said it was going to be $3,000. I asked for it back and there's lint in the charge port or something like that. It's really crappy because technically they're not actually doing something illegal. They are offering you a data recovery service for a price. They tell you the price up front. You pay the price, they give you your data, you technically got what you paid for. There's no specific crime to point to there. However, if your elderly grandmother paid $2,800 solely because she lacked the technical knowledge and know-how to understand that the only problem with her phone was a bad screen, you'd probably be really angry. And I'm going to take a wild guess that when the only problem with the phone is a bad screen, they're not telling their customer $2,800 screen repair. And the reason that this stuff happens is because there's this old memo from almost 30 years ago where Apple is referring a lot of the data recovery customers to Drive Savers if they want to keep their warranty. That gave them some legitimacy, and they've built on that in a way that I find to be really shitty. My website also debunks other concepts, such as the requirement for a $2 million clean room in order to do data recovery. You'll often see websites where people wearing these fancy spacesuits are there, why you need a clean room for data recovery. They'll tell you about their $2 million clean room, and I made an entire page on my website debunking debunking this. For less than the cost of a big screen television, you too can have a laminar flow bench, which allows you to do the exact same work to the exact same standard that they would do in a clean room. I spent more money on this damn particle counter than I did on my entire laminar flow bench setup just to make sure that I had a calibrated instrument that could prove that that $4,000 laminar flow bench allows you to get a particle count of 0 at stuff that you can't even see with a microscope and do data recovery just fine. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want people to believe that when they get these outlandish psychotic quotes for data recovery, that's the $2 million clean room that you're paying for, and that's why it's so much money. The reality is that what you're paying for in many instances is marketing. A lot of the companies that are telling you this are paying for ads, and these ads can be upwards of $150 per click, and they have to make that back somehow. There are also other practices in the industry that I go over on a regular basis on my website, such as the fake data recovery locations. You'll have companies that have a bunch of different locations all across the country, and when you show up, there's nobody there. There's nobody there that actually does data recovery. And sometimes the people that are there are not even employees of the company. One of the things that you'll note if you look for data recovery in my area is that there's 1 or 2 companies that actually do it, but then there's a bunch of other companies where when you show up, you are not going to see a PC3000 or a data recovery lab. A lot of these locations don't actually have tools for data recovery, and my company, which does have all the tools on site for data recovery and thousands more reviews than those, is essentially at the bottom. So I'll have people show up to my store on a regular basis saying, hey, you're the 3rd or 4th place I went to. The first 2 or 3 places I went to didn't even have a technician on site, and the person that was there said that they don't even work there. And I'll go, what? What are you talking about? And they'll say, yeah, look at all these other places that outrank you on Google. They don't even have somebody working there who does data recovery. So I decided to start looking into this. And when I looked into it, I made a page on my website, Fake Data Recovery Locations, that goes over and documents this practice in detail. Most people, when they show up to a business that they looked up on Google Maps, they want somebody to be there that knows what they're doing. So if you needed some screws, some nails, and a screwdriver, you might go on Google Maps and go, hardware store. And then when you go to the hardware store, you're expecting to find somebody that actually knows about hardware. If you went to the hardware store that you found on Google Maps and they had no screwdrivers, no nails, and you asked them, what's the difference between a Phillips and a flathead? And they told you, I don't know, and I don't even work here. You might feel like you got swindled. If you were hungry and you search for restaurants on Google and you see Mike's Burger Joint and you show up to Mike's Burger Joint and the person who's in the front doesn't make burgers, they don't have a grill, they don't have any meat, and they tell you they've never made a burger, like, what are we even doing here? This is a common annoyance that my customers will tell me they have when they go to businesses in the area, and I decided to make a page on my website that goes over all of this. My website has lots of information on these practices and the companies that engage in these practices so that you understand how our industry works. But it's not all just saying that these companies have these problems. We also talk about competitors in a positive light, some of which actually charge less money than we do. I have a page on my site called Honest Data Recovery Companies where I talk about other competitors that I believe do business in an honest way. iPad Rehab, Desert Data Recovery, $300 Data Recovery, and a bunch more if you visit datarecoveryprofessionals.org. If you go to datarecoveryprofessionals.org, you'll find a group of like-minded people that don't take part in these deceptive practices. And I'm very happy to promote that on my own website, even though they're all direct competitors, because I believe that we're better off if we have a more honest industry. I know that there's no way in hell that my half a dozen employee team can do data recovery for the entire country. And I'm happy to promote people that I think are doing honest work. And I have no problem if that means that they get a job that maybe would have went to me. Now, this brings us to the cease and desist that I got from the law office of Zachary A. Westenhofer and the response that I'm going to be giving, which I imagine you can predict here. False and misleading commercial statements concerning WeRecoverData. Mr. Rossman, this office represents WeRecoverData.com. WRD. It has come to our attention that you and Rossman Repair Group have published a lengthy webpage titled, Is WeRecoverData Safe? That contains false, misleading, and commercially disparaging statements concerning WRD and its services. The webpage is expressly attributed to you as the founder and chief technician of Rossman Repair Group, Inc. It is not presented as a neutral news report or an abstract discussion of industry practices. Instead, it repeatedly attacks WRD's integrity, business practices, technical capabilities, pricing, customer relationships, and fitness to provide data recovery services while directly comparing WRD with your competing data recovery business. It concludes by soliciting readers to retain Rossman Repair Group for the same services. WRD recognizes that competitors may engage in truthful, comparative advertising and may express honestly held opinions concerning matters of legitimate public interest. WRD does not seek to suppress protected opinion, fair criticism, or the accurate publication of verified facts. Your webpage, however, goes materially farther. It presents serious accusations of misconduct as established facts, republishes unsupported accusations from third parties as purported evidence, and uses those accusations to divert prospective customers towards your competing business. Among other things, your website states or communicates that WRD maintains fake or misleading business locations and that the 22 locations you purported investigated are virtual offices that fail applicable criteria. WRD has engaged in a consistent pattern of pricing escalation, non-refundable charges, punitive cancellation terms, and withholding customers' devices pending payment. WRD's published technical materials contain fabricated claims, dangerous advice, and engineering impossibilities and false assurances. WRD advertises a fabricated success rate. WRD's technical capabilities, equipment, credentials, facilities, and customer service practices are materially inferior to those of Rossmann Repair Group, Inc., and WRD deliberately damages customer property when customers decline WRD quotes or seek competing services. The final category is particularly serious. Your webpage republishes a statement attributed to the Reddit user Zorb750 accusing WRD of being strongly suspected of sabotaging hard drives when customers decline their quote. It also republishes a statement attributed to Reddit user datarecovery claiming, I have had a few cases with WeRecoverData where they quoted the customer 4,000 plus. When the customer asked for it back, they copied the data to their server and degaussed the drive. WRD understands that datarecovery is associated with a competing data recovery business. Your decision to republish that accusation on your company's website gives it a broader audience and places the authority, reputation, and commercial interests of Rossmann Repair Group behind it. The accusation is false. WRD does not sabotage, degauss, destroy, or deliberately damage customers' drives because a customer declines a quote, requests a return of the device, or elects to obtain services elsewhere. WRD does not copy customer data and intentionally render the original device unrecoverable as retaliation for a customer's decision not to proceed with a quoted service. These accusations directly attack WRD's honesty, integrity, and fitness to perform data recovery work. Your webpage also appears designed to capture consumers actively searching for information concerning WRD and redirect them towards Rossmann Repair Group, Inc. The page repeatedly contrasts alleged deficiencies in WRD services with the reported advantages of your competing business, including your pricing, equipment, evaluation policy, facilities, customer reviews, and no data, no fee policy. The commercial purpose of the publication is apparent from its structure, content, and concluding solicitation. Your conduct appears to give rise to multiple cases of action, including claims for defamation and defamation per se, business disparagement and trade libel, tortious interference with prospective business relationships, unfair competition, and false or misleading representations of fact and commercial advertising or promotion in violation of WRD is continuing to review the webpage and sources cited within it. Nothing in this letter should be understood as limiting WRD's objections to the examples identified above. WRD expressly reserves the right to identify additional false, misleading, unsupported, or materially incomplete statements concerning WRD. Accordingly, WRD demands that you and Rossmann Repair Group immediately remove from publication the website entitled Is WeRecoverData Safe in its present form? 2. Immediately cease publishing, republishing, distributing, or promoting any false or misleading statement that WRD sabotages, degausses, destroys, damages, or deliberately renders customers' devices unrecoverable. Immediately cease publishing or republishing false or misleading factual statements concerning WRD services, pricing practices, locations, facilities, personnel, technical capabilities, credentials, customer relationships, and business practices. Remove any materially identical or substantially similar publication concerning WRD from any other website, social media account, advertising platform. Provide a written identification of each website, blah, blah, blah. If you contend any accusation of sabotage or this, let's see. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I'm impatient to get to the fun part of the video. WRD has preserved evidence related to your publication, including copies of the webpage, publication dates, source links, screenshots, archive materials, and related records. You and Rossmann Repair Group, Inc. are hereby placed on notice that WRD anticipates litigation concerning the matters addressed in this letter. Accordingly, you are under a legal obligation to preserve all potentially relevant evidence in your possession, custody, or control. This includes, without limitation, all drafts, edits, revision histories, source materials, screenshots, archive pages, analytics records, search engine optimization records, keyword search materials, advertising records, website traffic records, conversion data, customer intake records, referral records, emails, text messages, internal communications, social media communications, Reddit posts, direct messages, account records, metadata, browser data, customer communications, business records, financial records, and electronically stored information relating in any way to WRD, the webpage entitled Is WeRecoverData Safe, any other statement concerning WRD, the statements attributed to Zorb750 and Data Recovery NJ, and communications with those users or with the persons responsible for those accounts, and any effort to direct actual or prospective customers away from WRD or towards Rossmann Repair Group or any competing service. You are further directed not to delete, modify, destroy, overwrite, conceal, or permit the loss of any such materials, whether stored locally in cloud accounts on mobile devices, business systems, or through third-party platforms. This preservation obligation applies equally to Rossmann Repair Group, Inc. and to each of its officers, employees, agents, contractors, representatives. Failure to preserve relevant evidence after notice of anticipated litigation may constitute spoliation of evidence and may subject you and Rossmann Repair Group, Inc. to court-imposed sanctions, adverse evidentiary interferences, monetary penalties, or other relief. Nothing in this letter constitutes a complete redaction of WRD's factual or legal positions, all of which are expressly reserved. We request written confirmation by no later than July 8th that you and Rossmann Repair Group will comply with the foregoing demands. If you fail to comply, WRD is prepared to pursue litigation and all available legal remedies without further notice to you. Govern yourself accordingly. Sincerely, Zachary A. Westenhofer, counsel for WeRecoverData.com. I keep having to edit this because I keep laughing too much throughout it. I apologize for that. I like doing these more in one take, but I can't do it on this one. So what was one of the items that they were complaining about? WRD advertises a fabricated success rate is what they attribute to me. Let's see what their page says and what my page says. So on my page, it says the website advertises a 96% success rate in page title tags, while their own FAQ states they do not publish success rates. Let's see if they actually removed this or edited this from the website before sending a cease and desist. At this point, they have had literally 2 weeks to cover their tracks on this, and let's see what they did. So if I search for success rate on their FAQ, it says, we do not publish the success rate in order to not mislead our customers. From them, we do not publish success rates in order not mislead our customers. I actually got it wrong. There's a grammatical error there. Yes, it's we do not publish the success rate in order not mislead our customers. Remember that. Okay, I'm going to click onto just any page on their website related to data recovery. Let's click RAID. It says 96% success rate in the title tag. Have you considered suing yourself? You don't need my website to say anything. This is a joke. Here's the funny thing. What is a success considered by WeRecoverData? And it says, if the client didn't specify the exact critical files that need to be recovered or indicated all, everything, or unknown, we will consider the recovery to be successful if any files on the media are recovered. So if I tell you, hey, I'd like to pay you $4,000 to recover everything on this drive, and you recover 64 kilobytes of windows.dll files, by this terms of service, that's success. I'd have an amazing success rate if my standard was that. Next thing to go over here are the business listing locations. When you search for data recovery, you'll see that WeRecoverData shows up first over here. They show up number 1 at this Congress Avenue location. And as you scroll down, again, you'll see there's a bunch of locations that do not have data recovery stuff on site. And my location that actually does have data recovery stuff on site shows up somewhere in the bottom, if at all. You got to scroll quite a bit to find that. Yeah, I don't think you're going to find me at all over here. Let's take a look at what I said. Are WeRecoverData's 50 plus locations real offices? WeRecoverData's homepage advertises 50 plus global locations. The 22 addresses investigated are operated virtual offices by Regis, WeWork, Intelligent Office, and similar co-working providers. The receptionist referenced in the quote is a Regis or virtual office employee, not WeRecoverData staff. The instruction to call us at 866-400-3282 routes to a central call center. Despite advertising local area codes for cities like Philadelphia, Houston, the toll-free number is the operational backbone. The local numbers route to the central call center. And again, this comes back to what I talked about before. If you are going to a hardware store, if you search for hardware store, you expect that the place that shows up on Google Maps is going to be a local hardware store where you can buy screwdrivers and screws and nails. At the very least, you expect that the person that you see there actually works there. That's just one of the most basic expectations of having a business. Now, when you walk into my business, you will see this. Hello. What is all this?
Oh.
How busy are you?
Yeah, this is a lot of work.
Point.
We're getting more and more data recoveries, so I'm happy.
Helium.
Oh, yeah. This is helium.
This is high-grade helium, not like the stuff that they put in the balloons at McDonald's.
That's true.
So you use this to put the helium back in the drive when you're done?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You wanna?
No, I don't want high-grade, high-pressure helium.
I tried.
What?
Yeah, it does work actually.
But until you train somebody else on how to do all the things you know how to do, that...
Yeah, so small piece of...
Let's walk into their Congress Avenue location during business hours and see what we get.
Okay, so somewhere here, I think we should find the WeRecoverData. Look like Pluto, Wells Fargo. It's here. Okay, let's go. Let's check. Let's ask. There's no WeRecoverData here on the list. But it should be. Let's check. Excuse me, guys. Quick question. I'm looking for WeRecoverData. It should be somewhere here, room 500.
Ask the security guard.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi, sir. For a company WeRecoverData, they should be at room 500.
Okay, they should be open. The elevator should be open to you. So you take these set of elevators, and you should be able to go to 500.
Oh, okay.
Let me see real quick. Yeah, it says spaces. So take this set over here, and you should be able to go to level 5.
Okay. 500. Wait. It's just spaces. Hi, how are you? I just have a quick question. I'm looking for a WeRecoverData company.
Yes, so they are, they have an office here, but they are appointment only. However, if you have a device, you can drop them off here.
Oh, okay. So actually, I don't have devices with me. I just have a few questions because honestly, we lost pictures from the vacation, and I don't know the prices. I don't know anything. I just
Have you tried to contact them? Because we don't have that information. We're kind of like a third party. So you would have to contact them and they'd be able to verify if whatever it is that you need that they'd actually be able to accomplish.
Oh, okay. So I see. So there is no technician. I thought there's gonna be like.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you. We're gonna come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
lovely day.
To be fair to them, almost every data recovery company does this. And again, that's why this industry bothers me so much. That's why I have that honest data recovery locations on my website. There are some locations that are not staffed by WeRecoverData. This is another company altogether that at one point literally had a UPS store mailbox listed as a data recovery location on Google Maps. Imagine that you think you're showing up to a data recovery company that has a lab on site and you show up and it's a fucking UPS store. This is something that happens regularly. Hiking Mike on the localsearchforum.com forum found this. Here's what he had to say about it. The businesses in this industry have very few real locations, just one or single digits, but provide service to people all over. So it's not much so spam to have these listings as it is a tremendous competitive advantage. It makes them appear far more often and prominently in search and maps with potentially many listings in every metro area. If I looked and counted, I would probably find they have hundreds of false listings like these. He actually points to the rules, which I looked up. And again, I had never reported this company or any of these other companies to Google. I'm way too busy. And I'm not that petty. I'm not going to report you to Google because you are breaking the rules of their business listings. Here's what Google's own rules suggest about this. Address, Google Business Profile Help. Businesses can't list an office at a co-working space unless that office maintains clear signage, receives customers at the location during business hours, and is staffed during business hours by your business staff, not people from the co-working facility, from your business. Service area businesses or businesses that serve customers at their locations should have one profile for the central office or location with a designated service area. Service area businesses can't list a virtual office unless that office is staffed during business hours. And they even use an example of repair businesses. Was the receptionist that Chris talking to an employee of WeRecoverData? I'm not trying to be petty here. My employee showed up at their location because they sent me a threat of litigation. Think about this in your heart of hearts. If let's say that you lost all your stuff and you realize that you thought you had it backed up and you didn't, you're panicking, you're losing your mind. Would you rather meet with a WeWork receptionist or Chris? I think this is obvious. I'm just going to give you my opinion. In my opinion, the reason that a company would put up a bunch of addresses where they say that we recover data when you show up there and there's nobody to recover data is because it gets you a larger presence. You can show up in other areas where you wouldn't otherwise show up and maybe you get more business. And by the time the customer who's panicking and freaked out shows up, they've already invested in the idea of using you and it's going to be inconvenient to research somebody else. So they just say, ugh, I guess there's nobody here that I can talk to, but fine, I'll leave it. And in my opinion, that's a shitty thing to do to people. That's deceptive and that's manipulative at the worst time in somebody's life. I don't do that. And yes, I will point out that that is a competitive advantage, that when you show up to my business, there are actually people there doing data recovery, that my business does not break Google Maps' guidelines. If you take a look on the local search forum, you'll see that for that guy, Hiking Mike, that was going over salvage data, he actually posted on Google support page trying to get help to remove it. In early September, I twice attempted edits in Google Maps while I was out there to mark it as not existing. He's referring to this data recovery listing that's actually a UPS store with a box. And unless you have some sort of Honey, I Shrunk the Kid shit with a miniature guy I and Penny CC3000 in there, I'm pretty sure they're not doing data recovery inside of a UPS store box. At the end of it, a month and a half later with no progress, he finally asked, can you ask if this company is whitelisted or similar? I've learned this is the thing. Google somehow approves their setup and then their listings are considered all in compliance despite Google's guidelines and they won't remove them. And the guy says Google won't tell me if they are. Very helpful. The exact level of help that you would expect from a search engine in a company that lies about me being sponsored by Ground News more than 2 weeks after I said I've never had a sponsor. They don't even have a citation for it. They just straight up lie. I've never done a video talking about this or complaining about this before. I just kind of sit and take it. But if you're going to say that I'm not allowed to talk about this on my own website, oh, hell no. Now, they complained about me posting stuff from what people have said on Reddit. So let's take a look. What did I do here? I said WeRecoverData publishes no dollar amounts for any service in their website, which I find to be true. And I'm comparing and contrasting that to the fact that our website, one of our advantages as a business, in my opinion, is that we publish quoted price tiers for every single service that we offer on our website so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. I can't tell you exactly what's wrong with your drive until I see it, but what I can say is here are all of our price tiers so that they cannot change on you later. When it comes to pricing, I have a part of my website that has screenshots and links to Reddit threads where people are talking about prices. If you're saying that this is illegal, this is all information that shows up in a Google search. None of this is magically fabricated. This is literally screenshots and links to people who have made Reddit posts about the pricing. There's a complaint made about me talking about a Zorb 750 as somebody who's on a data recovery forum. I have a screenshot. Verified data recovery professionals on Reddit's r/data recovery have uniformly classified WeRecoverData as a marketing-driven operation. They group it alongside PITS and Secure Data Recovery as companies that project nationwide presence through virtual offices while operating from centralized facilities. And I have a link to a post that is made by Zorb 750. This is literally a screenshot. I did not say this thing. I am screenshotting what other people have said. So if you're saying that me taking a screenshot and posting what somebody else has said on my site and attributing that statement to the other person is illegal, this is the exact same thing that shows up on page 1 of Google when I search for the company to begin with. Prices, I have over here, it says consumer reported price tiers, where I'm saying that consumers, and I'm attributing the posts to the specific user on Reddit that made it, have said that these are their full quotes, and I provide you the source on the Reddit forum. I'm not saying that these are my price quotes that I received. I'm saying that here's what other people have said on Reddit about this particular business. These are screenshots from Reddit that are attributed to specific users. I can't use your website as an accurate citation of what your prices are because you don't list your prices on your website. But if any of these price ranges are wrong, you're more than welcome to correct them and put a pricing page on your website that I can reference to say what your prices are in the future. You wouldn't have a problem with putting a quoted prices range on your website, would you? I know what the answer to that is. For pricing, I do say that they publish no dollar amounts for any service in their website. And you are correct that our site does publish pricing tiers for the services that we offer. Everything that we offer, we have a pricing tier for so that you understand what the price ranges are before you send us something. This allows you to make an informed decision. You know, if you have an issue with heads, it's this. If you have platter damage, it's that. If it's a controller issue, it's this. If it's firmware, it's that. All of my prices are on my website and clearly stated. Their demand letter is acting like me using print screen and taking pictures of what other people have said on other websites where people discuss customer service experiences with companies are things that I have actually said myself. There is an entire legal framework for defending against that stuff. I have over 50 pages of legal defense already written out, and I'm not going to give away every single part of that in a YouTube video. At this point, I'm going to read you my response. Dear Mr. Westenhofer, Rossman Repair Group Inc. and I, Rossman Repair Group, have received your June 19th letter on behalf of WeRecoverData. Rossman Repair denies that the webpage is WeRecoverData safe is false, defamatory, or otherwise harmful, and declines the demands in your letter. The page will remain published. The reason is short. The page consists of A, true statements of facts, which are protected, B, statements of opinion based on facts disclosed to the reader, which are also protected, and C, accurately attributed republication of third-party statements, identified on the page as such. Each category is independently protected. The subject of the page, the safety, pricing, and advertising of a national data recovery vendor is a matter of public concern. Because your letter does not identify a single specific statement of fact that is both false and defamatory, it lists 7 possible causes of action and broad categories of grievance, but it does not quote one sentence from the page and explain how and why that sentence is false. That is the threshold that WeRecoverData must meet, because on a matter of public concern, the burden of proving falsity rests with WeRecoverData, not with Rossman Repair Group. If WeRecoverData contends that a single specific statement is false, for example, a specific statement about one of its locations, identify the location and the exact statement, and state the basis for the claim of falsity. Rossman Repair Group will consider any such specific item on its merits. The most serious accusations your letter raises were written by third parties and are attributed to them on the page. Rossman Repair Group is not their author. Absent a specific false statement, there is nothing to retract. The realistic forum for these claims is Texas, where Rossman Repair Group is located. Texas has one of the strongest anti-SLAPP statutes in the country, the Texas Citizens Participations Act, which stays discovery once a motion to dismiss is filed and requires the court to award attorney's fees to a defendant defendant who prevails in the motion. A filing in federal court would not avoid fee and sanctions exposure. A groundless claim is subject to Rule 11, and the Lanham Act allows a fee award against a party that brings an exceptional case. New York, where your office is located, is not an available forum either, as long-arm statute does not reach an out-of-state speaker on a defamation claim, and its own anti-SLAPP statute would shift fees against the plaintiff who's sued over speech in a matter of public interest. We note these points only so the cost of an unsuccessful filing is clear at the onset. Your letter asks Rossman Repair to preserve records, and Rossman Repair will meet its preservation obligations. Tied to the same dispute, RRG asked that WeRecoverData likewise preserve and not delete or alter the records relevant to these claims, including the lease or service agreements for the locations WRD advertises, the substantiation for its advertised success rate, its terms of service and pricing records, its records concerning the solicitation and management of its online reviews. This request is tied to the dispute your letter describes. It is not a threat to publicize, report, or expose anything, and RRG makes no such threat. I've been on the receiving end of letters like yours before, from companies a good deal larger than WeRecoverData, and I want to set out a few points before closing, because they bear on what WeRecoverData can realistically expect. I have published critical, factual commentary about large companies for the most of 2 decades, and demands that I take my commentary down are not new to me. In July of 2016, Apple's intellectual property lawyers contacted me about the repair content on my channel. The content stayed up. In 2024, Google sent a cease and desist demanding that GreyJay, an independent app that I've publicly championed, stop being offered within 7 days. We behind it declined, explaining that GreyJay uses no YouTube API and agreed to none of YouTube's terms, and it remains available. In 2026, my apologies, typo. When Bamboo Lab threatened an independent software developer over an open source tool, I committed $10,000 of our own money to that developer's defense and hosted the code myself, so that any claim would be brought against me, rather than a party with fewer resources to defend it. Other companies have sent similar demands over the years. None of them has led me to take down something I know to be true. I mention this so that my position is not mistaken for posturing. I would rather spend money defending a true statement than pay anything to retract one. This is a matter of principle, not stubbornness. Retracting something true would be a misstatement in its own right, and it would be a signal that firmly worded letter is enough to decide what the public is permitted to read. I am not willing to send that signal, and I am not deterred by the prospect of a lawsuit. A letter like yours succeeds in most cases because the recipient would rather take the material down than bear the cost and disruption of a dispute. I understand that, and this is where I differ from most people. I have made a different choice each time, and I will make the same choice here. Not only am I not intimidated by litigation, I sometimes rather miss it. There are 2 ways and only 2 to change what appears on that page. Number 1, WeRecoverData can identify a specific sentence and show me that it is false, in which case I will correct it promptly and in good faith. Or WeRecoverData can obtain a final judgment to that effect from a court of competent jurisdiction. Absent one of those things, the page will remain as published. I would also be candid about what a lawsuit would accomplish. Even a complete victory for WeRecoverData would not change the fact that the page is accurate, and the statements most likely to concern WeRecoverData were written by its own customers and attributed to them on the page. The suit would also be very costly to WRD. In Texas, where I am, the anti-SLAPP statute stays of discovery once a motion to dismiss is filed and requires the court to award a prevailing defendant his attorney's fees. Discovery would, in the ordinary course, place WRD's leases, the substantiation for its advertised success rate, its terms of service, its review practices into the court record. I say this not as a threat, and I make no threat to publicize anything. I say it because these are the predictable consequences of filing, and WRD is better served weighing them now than after it files. I have no wish to litigate with WRD, but if WRD chooses that course over identifying a false statement and allowing me to correct it, it should expect the page to be defended on its own merits from start to finish. RRG would prefer to resolve this without litigation that benefits no one. If WRD identifies a specific statement it can show as false, RRG will address it. Otherwise, the page will remain as published. Please direct any further communication to Rossman Repair Group Inc. Sincerely, Louis Rossman, Rossman Repair Group Inc. This is a very, very small sample of the parts that I found to be the funniest. You couldn't just call these co-working places and say, like, I'll give you an extra $100 this month if you could just tell people that we're actually a data recovery company and that you work for us, or something, some preparation. Go to your website and remove the fucking part that has the success rate. I literally linked to it on my own page to make it easy for you to delete the lies. You didn't even do any cleanup. This is the stuff that I told you. Wait till we go over all the stuff that I haven't told you, because I have 50 pages for this case that have been prepared in legal defense that I haven't shared in this video. I can't wait to go to court with you. I can't wait for you to sue me, because something tells me that with the way that I have done business for over almost 20 years and the way that you have done business, I have a feeling that discovery is going to be a little bit more of an enjoyable process for me than it is for you. Here's how this is going to go. Number 1, I am going to win on the merits. Number 2, after I win on the merits, I am going to get back all of my legal fees, whether it is $500 or $500,000, because I'm willing to spend a lot of money to defend what I wrote on my website. I will get all that money back on an anti-SLAPP suit. Number 3, maybe I'll visit all those locations that you have around the country. Maybe I'll go to every single one of them. I will go there with my camera. I will record them to see how many of those locations do or don't have a laminar flow bench or a PC3000 or a technician that even knows what data recovery is. And I'll upload those to the Google listings that you have for your company that are breaking the Google Maps guidelines. If they're still there, if they haven't all been reported by then. You'll be able to do a tour of the entire country, visit every single WeRecoverData location, and upload video footage of each one to your Google Maps listing of the receptionist saying, I'm not affiliated, I don't do data recovery, I don't even work here. See, I understand why people like you send the letters that they do. I've met a lot of people like you. You think that you're going to intimidate people into going, no, I'm sorry, sir. Please, I will take back all the truthful things I said about you so you can keep doing business as usual. Please don't send me an angry letter from Zachary. That is not how I or how BlackBerry operates. And something to understand, to any of you out there that want to send these frivolous cease and desist, whether it's Google, Apple, Cami Research, or anybody else to try and intimidate me by saying we're going to enter a legal battle. I'm not just some random YouTuber that folds over when I get a legal letter from a lawyer. I'm a businessman. I've been a businessman for almost 20 years. And in these legal battles, in these disputes, I have never lost. Not once. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. And I've only shown you 5% of what I would present to a jury. And I don't care if it costs me $500,000 to $1 million to do so, because I know I'm going to get it all back. If that's what you want, send the next letter. If I don't hear back from you, I'll consider the dispute settled. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.